Okay, guys, it's exactly 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 10th. I made a video about an hour ago about how there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this unit, and none of it is stuff that I am doing. It is stuff that is happening from the psychotic criminal operatives that the landlord likes to place in the units adjacent to mine. It took me a while to realize that there is a definite pattern to this. It's not random. This is a building that houses a number of sex offenders, all of which seem to be placed in the units directly next to mine. So stuff that I report or experience or observe or speculate on is not me being crazy. I am simply reacting to stuff that is verifiably occurring in and around the units next to mine. If I wasn't living in this type of building where there's a bunch of sex offenders and the landlord primarily rents to people with criminal histories, severe and verifiable mental health issues, sex offenders, drug users, psychopaths, and so forth, then the things that I do report in these videos would definitely sound totally insane. If I was living in a building that housed, let's say, neurosurgeons and attorneys and nurses and maybe law enforcement officials, elected politicians, people who are functional and who demonstrate an ability to achieve and to lead goal-oriented, logical lives, than me saying that, there's a psychotic sex offender sitting behind the wall of my toilet, smacking the wall every time I try to use my toilet. That would definitely sound crazy. People would have the right to say, well, why would anybody living next to you try to do that? However, this is not the case. My landlord caters to sex offenders. That's a verifiable fact. They get a lot more money by renting to sex offenders and other career criminals, psychopaths, and severely disturbed prison inmates than they do renting out units like this one at the regular market rate. So they have a deliberate, targeted population, which is criminally insane psychopaths and sex offenders that they choose to house. And because I am not a criminal, sex offender, psychopath, etc., they try to discredit everything that I say. They try to not just discredit what I say, but make up stories about me, my mental health, which is perfectly fine. It always has been. It always will be. My career, my activities, people, my family, my friends, they try to make up stories about all of that because I am exposing the fact that they cater, protect, aid and abet psychotic criminals, sex offenders, and some very otherwise disturbed individuals. I'm not sure what their deal is with loving criminals, but they love the criminals. And that is some kind of maybe a political agenda on their part. It's also about money. Like I said, they get a lot of money to rent to people with some very severe behavioral problems. They get more money renting to those people than they do to me. So there's that. The other thing is when I report things like there's some kind of remote stun gunning device being used by somebody who's always sitting somewhere in the vicinity of that wall right there, which is the bathroom of Unit 78, where a known homicidal psychopath named Jay Irizarry lived for 8.5 years. That's not crazy. That's me simply reporting stuff that is perfectly physically possible, given that a homicidal psychopath was placed behind this wall for 8.5 years. There's also an aggressive and compulsively perverted sex offender living directly behind that wall right there. That creep likes to blast loud pornographic movies day and night. So is that physically possible? Yes. Am I reporting something that's absolutely insane and totally impossible? No. He's a sex offender. He blasts really loud porn movies day and night. That's not me being crazy, and that's not me imagining things. The fact that the career psychopath / sex offender / cyber criminal named Jay Irizarry seems to have access to some unusual electronic weapons and devices, such as some kind of remote control stun gun, again, is not me being crazy and imagining things. I am simply reporting what is already physically possible, which is that a career criminal, some kind of a homicidal psychopath, and a registered sex offender named Jay Irizarry was verifiably living behind the wall of this kitchen sink for 8.5 years, which is her bathroom, and engaging in nonstop stalking, psychotic perving, and creeping, surveillance-based harassment behind the wall right there, because that is what she is. She is a psychotic, perverted sex offender, obsessive stalker, and verifiable psychopath. So me observing her behavior, experiencing it, and reporting it is not me being crazy. It is me simply reporting the crazy of the nut jobs that this landlord verifiably chooses to place in the units next to mine. So go chew on it, okay? If you want to think that I'm some sort of insane whatever, that's your right, but it has nothing to do with facts. And the facts are that I am the psychologist here, not you, you pathetic morons. I have a doctoral level education in clinical developmental psychology and a published thesis for my PhD program that was selected for national presentation at the San Francisco National Psychological Convention in 2007, and it was nationally published by the American Psychological Association. So go suck an egg, you idiots. I am the psychologist here, not you. And I know what I report sounds insane to people who might take things out of context. But when you are deciding to be an armchair psychologist and calling normal people crazy, maybe you should consider the context, the location, the surroundings, and whether or not this person has a track record of actually being crazy. No, I don't. I have co-authored and published 14 scientific studies in 2 separate fields of science, most of them in tumor biology, angiogenesis, cancer research, and immunology, but one of them in the field of clinical psychology. And none of these studies would ever have been published if I was psychotically crazy, imagining things, making up stories, and just overall insane. So again, chew on it. And you're not the psychologist here, but I am. So maybe you should think about that. Anyway, the things that I report are entirely within the realm of what is physically possible, and not just physically possible, but entirely likely and highly probable, given the criminal sex offenders that the landlord has placed directly below me in 76, continues to allow to access Unit 78 right there, and houses in Unit 88. The last 4 guys that have lived in Unit 88 have been sex offenders or behaved exactly like sex offenders and have severe issues with women. So again, me reporting that the guy next door blasts out pornographic movies, in the middle of the afternoon, that's not me being paranoid crazy. That's a fact. Me reporting that there's a psychotic cyber criminal / sex offender / homicidal psychopath named Jasmine Irizarry constantly accessing the bathroom of the unit that's behind this wall. She lived there for 8.5 years. She continues to live in the building. That is also entirely within the realm of what is physically possible. And again, not just physically possible, but highly probable, given that she's a psychotic stalker, a homicidal psychopath, a sex offender, and a cyber criminal specializing in breaking and entering and placing surveillance devices in other people's living spaces, then live streaming their personal activities so that she and others like her can perv and creep all over what other people do in the privacy of their living spaces. This is not me coming up with this. This is me reporting what it's been 24 residents over the last couple of years bragging to me over and over that they get to see what I do in my bathroom. So if you want to think I'm crazy, go right ahead, but you're just letting your stupid show. And again, I'm the psychologist here, not you.